What's up, guys? My name is Leif, and you're listening to episode 40 of the Vegan Gym Podcast. My brother and I are vegan fitness coaches and bodybuilders who started this podcast as part of our mission to show the world that vegans are strong, healthy, compassionate badasses who are leading the charge against chronic disease, animal abuse, and climate change. We've had the opportunity to help thousands of vegans reach their fitness goals, but we're just getting started. Our goal is to help 1 million vegans get into the best shape of their lives. So if you believe in challenging the status quo and showing the world how badass veganism really is, then this podcast is for you. With that, I'd like to introduce my brother, my co-host for this podcast, Anders. What's going on, man?
What is going on, guys? All right, so
we've got a super awesome episode for you, but it's also going to be super short because we need to get to the airport in really soon.
We have a business conference we're going to be at for the next week.
Yeah, so it's going to be super awesome, and we'll probably share some details at some point about it.
Exactly.
But anyways, we're going to jump into it, and we're going to talk about sucky workouts.
Yeah,
because
something you just went through yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. This is something I went through yesterday, and it's something that people ask us about on a pretty constant basis. And I feel like
it's a valid question, you know?
Yeah, it's a very valid question. I feel like way too often in the fitness industry, people put on this mask, and they just show their best workouts, their best ab poses.
No pain,
and
no
stuff.
gain. Fight through the
they just show the best of everything. I mean, that's just kind of social media in a nutshell.
Right.
But so often we'll just brush over kind of the negative stuff, and since we're all kind of on our own journeys, it can be difficult when you're thinking, am I the only one going through this?
Yeah.
Am I the only one who has crappy workouts?
Yeah.
And that's not at all true. We have crappy workouts. In fact, I literally have
it happens
crappy
more
workout,
often than we would like.
way more often. Well, I think just one crappy workout is more often than you'd want. But seriously, this happens to me on at least a weekly basis. Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's usually squat or deadlift. But one of those days, and this week it happened.
You have reasoning behind it.
Yeah, exactly. They're pretty tough exercises, but this week it was squats.
Yeah.
That was the really difficult part for me. And I got to the gym and I was actually kind of feeling it. I was ready to go, but as I'm warming up, I'm like, ooh.
Ooh, that's sore.
Ooh, that's a little heavy. And then I got up to my working set weight, and my goal was to do 335 pounds for a 5x5, which is 5 sets and five reps per set. For a total of 25 reps. And that was what I was going to do for my workout, and that's what I had done the previous week.
Yeah.
In fact, I had even bumped up and done 340 or 345. I think it was 340 actually. And I did that for 5 reps, and it just felt super solid. Yeah. And then this week, it's I'm a lot less strong.
Right.
It's just and I'm not actually less strong. It's just I didn't have all the pieces kind of lined up to really crush my workout that I had the week before.
Variables.
Yeah, there are a ton of different factors. My nutrition could have been a little bit off. I was a little bit sore from doing deadlifts earlier that week. And my nutrition might have not been perfect.
Yeah.
Your
sleep.
Yeah, sleep. There's so many factors that go into it that you can't expect to be going into the gym every single week and hitting a PR or going and always crushing it.
Yeah, so we talk about progressive overload, and that's just putting on more weight over time.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you're going to be able to sustain on a weekly basis.
Right.
You know, it's over time, not weekly.
Yeah.
So it's you're looking at a year down the road and okay, I want to be up 10 to 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be looking at rather than, all right, next week I have to add 5 more pounds. We all have ups and downs along our fitness journey and in life in general, and it's just a matter of tanking through it and putting in the work. It's funny because when you start feeling that the weight's heavy in the very beginning, it gets to you mentally, and you start thinking about it during your entire warm-up. You're like, oh, that felt heavy.
Yeah.
And your mind's like, oh, please be comfortable. Please be comfortable.
Exactly.
Then you start having the devil and angel talking on your shoulder the entire time, getting up to your working sets, and it kind of just it mentally drains you, and you don't really want to keep going. And it's really difficult to get out of that. And how did you get out of it, that workout?
Well,
or did you not?
I kind of didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the really important thing to talk about is that that some days you just go into the gym, you don't want to be there. Some days you go in, the weights feel just super heavy. You're just kind of going through the motions. They're just not clicking.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be more difficult, and you're kind of just like counting down the sets until you can just leave the gym and you're done your workout. And we all have crappy workouts. That happens. Bad workouts are totally normal, and that's something that you really have to understand because it's part of the game. It's part of the process, and you have to expect you're going to have off days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have crappy workouts, and that's just part of the entire game. That's part of the path to fitness success. It's like there are going to be roadblocks and stuff, and it's really funny how we can have like tons and tons of amazing workouts. Like you can go like a week straight or a month straight just having like amazing workouts. You're hitting all these PRs, and then you have one bad day, and that just kind of like defines your mood for that month or that week or something. It's like that kind of sets the tone, and this happens to all of us. This happens to me too. But it's kind of ridiculous to let your entire, like all of your progress be defined by the
one workout,
by the one time things didn't really go your way.
Right.
And as long as you're pushing the ball forward most of the time, and you're putting in the effort and you're consistently progressing over time, that's what matters. It's not having having a little off day here and feeling like, oh, I'm not making any progress now, or I'm so defeated now. It's like it's a mind game. Like you need to kind of work through that. But it's another example of this actually is like getting negative like comments on your posts and stuff. Yeah. It's like we get so much positivity on our pages and on our videos and stuff. So thank you guys so much for contributing to that. But every once in a while we'll get like one negative comment or something, and it's so easy to just like dwell on it and just let that define your mood.
Let it stew in your mind the rest of the day.
And you're like, wow, I can't believe
it's like I
can't believe this dude thought my video was terrible. Everyone else thought it was amazing.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well focus on the amazing part then. Just like with your workouts. It's like if you have a ton of amazing days and you're making progress and you're feeling good about yourself, don't let one off day define you. Don't let one binge on your diet define you. Get back on track and actively work on that, but don't let that get in your head and just kind of define your progress. And don't let one crappy workout define your progress. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think that's to do that. It's very important. Like we always say, is to document your progress, and that's something that you can always reflect back upon.
That's
and
so
be
true.
Like, hey, I came like I put on 20 pounds on my bench press in the past few months. I feel really good about that. This one day, whatever, it's like let me get through it. I might coast through it, and maybe we'll mess up my day a little bit. But you know what? Next bench day, I'm going to get right back to it. Yeah. And I'm going to come in with a level head and to push as much weight as I possibly can. And it's just like physical progress too. If you see the weight, your weight go up on the scale, look at your progress pictures. Like you're going to see the differences in there because we tell everyone like the weight is just a measurement. Okay, like you don't want to like, body weight. Yeah, you don't want to like freak out about that.
yeah, they're all just metrics, but it's important to kind of look at the bigger picture and say, I love how you said that. It's like look at the larger, like the picture where you have this amazing progress.
Yeah.
Like focus on that, not if you're trying to lose weight or shred body fat, which is what we prefer to say. If you're trying to do that and you end up, your body weight goes up a little bit from one day to another, look back over the past month and be like, okay, well, I'm down 5 pounds so far, so my weight going up by 0.3 pounds from yesterday to today, that doesn't really matter. It's not real. It could be water weight or the way that I structured my diet the last day or something. It's not, I didn't gain 0.3 pounds of body fat.
Yeah.
So it's like, look at that bigger picture. And I just kind of went through this myself. I just posted a picture of a transformation that I've made kind of over the last few years. And looking at the pictures, looking at the pictures, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I've actually done that. It's kind of crazy to even think about. It's like, I know on a micro level, like from week to week, I'm making progress. But then you look back a few years and you're like, wow.
It all compounds on itself.
Yeah, you're like, look what I've done. Look what I've accomplished. And I think that's a really great way to just kind of completely crush that negativity that comes from having off days, like whether it's with your diet or with your training plan. And it's also important to keep in mind that working out is difficult.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be difficult. That's the whole point. Like, if working out wasn't difficult, then how would you be
Then everyone
making
would have
progress?
like a perfect physique.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what makes it so rewarding. Right. The difficulty is kind of the reward, and it's all the hard work that most other people are not willing to do that really pushes you to new levels in your body, in your mind, and in your life. So I think it's really important to keep that in mind as well. This is supposed to be challenging, and that's why you're doing it. You're doing it to change your body. You're doing it to change your life. You're doing it to sharpen your mind and build commitment and dedication and all these things that we talk about on a regular basis. All of this stuff is so important, and that's what we need to focus on. And if you always felt great in the gym and the weights were always moving easily, you were always hitting PRs and stuff, then guess what? We'd live in a world where everyone has superhero physiques.
Exactly.
Everyone would look amazing, and then guess what? You're just average. So the whole point of lifting weights and improving your body composition and improving your physique, building self-confidence, building your mindset, improving your life.
It's much more out of the gym.
Yeah, it does.
It's everything.
Man. Yeah, it transfers to all areas of your life, but it is inherently difficult. And that's the only way that you change. Change does not happen in your comfort zone. And in your comfort zone, everything might be sunshine and rainbows, but if you go out of your comfort zone, you're going to have cloudy days, you're going to have some rainstorms, you're going to have some thunderstorms maybe.
And then you have some blazing heat.
Yeah, and I mean, you're exposed to the elements, and you have to continually push through to kind of new levels.
Right.
And you have to expect that there are going to be road bumps, that there are going to be obstacles, and that's the whole point. The whole point is pushing through those. Like from one, like my squat day that I just had yesterday that really didn't go my way, and I left the gym feeling kind of pretty demotivated, honestly. And I've been training for 10 years. I know like these roadblocks happen. I know these little bumps in the road, they happen. And I know, like when I sit down and I'm actually like real with myself, I know that next week I'm going to do great. Like I'm going to have an awesome squat workout next week. It's just every once in a while you're going to have these off days.
Yeah. In a way that kind of motivates you to crush next week.
Exactly. Yeah, now I've got some accountability.
But for you, it's like you had a quote unquote bad squat day, but you still worked through it, you know? Like you still put in the work and you did working sets. So what did you do in order to complete the workout? Because I know when a lot of people are in that state of mind, they're like, I should just leave.
Yeah, so I ended up literally chopping 20 pounds off of my squat. So I went from 335 down to 315, and I hit that for a 5x5. Yeah, and that was honestly, even that was really difficult.
No, and so I think there's a lot to say with that. It's like you're I think it's very important is not to leave the gym when you're in that state of
Yeah,
mind.
exactly.
I think
Exactly.
in order for you to continue progressing and not like cut yourself short is to cut the weight down, your working sets, and to you might not even be in it really mentally the rest of the workout, but if you force yourself
You
to
still bring the intensity.
exactly, you bring that intensity, you make yourself work through those working sets at a much lower weight. Like you're still working just as hard because you're not mentally there like you are usually.
Yeah.
So you're still pushing your body as hard, but you're doing it in a state of mind that your mind is weak. And I think that's where the mental strength comes from. And I think that is what ultimately builds you, makes you a stronger individual to get over those mental roadblocks down the road.
Exactly.
And it's just a matter of being consistent and putting in the work. It's difficult to do. I myself kind of did that yesterday. Yesterday when we did squats, I was like, okay, well, I can't do 275 like I usually do, so what am I going to do? I dropped it down to 250 and I did beltless, which I never do beltless. So in a way, I made it easier, but in another way, I made it a lot harder because I'm used to doing my working sets with a belt.
Right.
So it's just
it's probably the same difficulty, but but you like mentally it's easier because you drop the weight.
Yeah, and I took my time on each rep and I focused and I made sure I had perfect depth. So I really pushed myself, but it was hard to be in it mentally as well. Yeah. I wasn't on the level that you were, but I was still having a pretty difficult workout. And so I think another thing is just to get wins from the workout when you are in a poor mindset. You know, it's like, sure, maybe you have to drop the weight in squats, but then you do an accessory movement and you up the weight in there, or you just like leave like happy with doing the squats as it is, you know. Just like grasp onto something after you get through the workout and be like, well, I did this and I increased a little bit on this exercise which I've been stuck at. It's just like really small things that add up, and that's you know, you just need to focus on the small little things and then reflect on the big picture.
Yeah, you can totally turn a crappy workout around and actually make that a major win. Like for me, hitting the 315 for 5x5, that was more difficult than hitting 335.
I could see that in your
for 5x5 the week before. And for whatever reason, whatever caused that, it's like that still can be a huge win to me because I wasn't feeling it and I still stuck through it. And I was just like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm committing. And it was more challenging. And even though it wasn't the same weight, I felt like I was still putting in the effort. So it kind of felt crappy, but I left the gym feeling a little demotivated about the weight, but I still felt like I escaped with a win.
You can be satisfied with what you accomplished.
Yeah, I was proud of actually pushing through and not just throwing in the towel and saying, oh, woe is me, I didn't hit my 335, so I'm just going to sulk out of the gym. It's like, that's not a formula for success. You have to push through those difficult days because sometimes the most difficult days actually move the needle the most. And I think that's really, really important to keep in mind because those can be the best workouts to really establish mental grit, to establish that mental toughness, to build that warrior mindset that we always talk about. And those are the days that you can break through psychologically, and you can reach new heights in your weight training and in your fitness in general. So there's really nothing that cannot be overcome if you don't have if you have enough perseverance. If you bring that perseverance and commitment to the gym every single day, whether it's an amazing day and the weights are moving easily, or it's a super difficult day, the weights feel super heavy and they're moving very slowly. Whichever way things are going for you on a particular day, you can still push through that and bring the same level of intensity. And
there's positives in everything.
You make it what you want to make it. Like
it's true,
and you have complete control over that. So So really, on those difficult days when things are not going your way, do it because it's difficult. Do it because it's hard. Do it because that is what's going to take you to the wins in the future, to the amazing squat workout next week.
Right.
And maybe that amazing squat workout next week isn't going to happen unless I go hard during the crappy workouts. And I think that's entirely true. So I think it's incredibly important to do that. So don't let the difficulty defeat you. You define how your crappy workouts will end up.
Yeah. I think that's perfect, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have anything else?
No, it's just I think it's like you're continuously building your mentality and your physical strength, and it just differs between like good days and bad days, you know, and it's just like just embrace them and continue growing.
Yeah. And it's not black or white. You don't have just like amazing days and absolutely terrible days. Like most of your days are going to be somewhere in the middle.
Exactly.
But regardless of where you are kind of on that spectrum of difficulty or perceived difficulty, like you define how the workout's going to end up. You define how much you're going to bring to your training plan or your nutrition plan. You can define the outcome, and don't let that difficulty, don't let the difficult times define you, because if you let that stuff get in your mind and control you, then it's just a downhill slope. Like you're like, things are not going to go well the next week, and you're going to have way more difficult days. So you got to push through that and own it, and just embrace and control it. Embrace it. So I guess that's going to be a wrap for the podcast. I hope that you guys found this to be valuable. This is something that honestly I struggle with on a pretty regular basis. Like I said, at least once a week.
We all do.
And I know we all do, but it's definitely something that I feel is really important to talk about, because
you're not alone, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
When you get in that mentality, sometimes you feel like you're isolated, and it's just it's just you feeling that way, and you're putting yourself in that situation, and it happens to absolutely everybody. And it really, the strong are the ones that take something from that experience. And the weak is people that just sulk in it and just continue down that path.
Yeah, and if you do let a bad workout or something get in your head, like you can push yourself out of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be during the workout. Like that would be optimal if you can kind of push through those mental barriers. And even if you're working with lower weights, continue to kind of like push yourself. But even if you let that defeat you one day, that still doesn't define the next workout or the next time that you're trying to stick to your nutrition plan or whatever. So yeah, this is something that we struggle with a lot. This is something that we help our clients through a lot. So we know like firsthand, this is something we all struggle with.
You wouldn't be human if you didn't go through it.
Exactly. So that's going to be a wrap for this podcast. We got to get to the airport really fast.
Yeah, we love you guys so much. Thank you for just being such awesome listeners. We just have an awesome community. So
you guys
really
are awesome. It. And if you found value in this podcast or any other episode, please be sure to leave a review. That really helps us to spread our message even more. So you can leave that on Stitcher or iTunes, and drop us a comment on YouTube or wherever you're watching this. So I hope you guys have an awesome week, and until next time, keep challenging the freaking status quo.